I'm gonna turn my mic on. All right. Going to be in James chapter 4, towards the bottom at verse 13. Got a couple stories I'll share here real quick. I'm a big sports fan. So what I've been noticing is there's this trend where people will go out. I'm just giving an example. Like, I'm a Cubs fan, right? So let's say next year I'm feeling good about the team. I'm probably not, but anyways. And I go out next February, spring training hits, and I get a tattoo on my arm that says, Cubs World Series Champions 2022. And then they go out and they lose more games than they win. I'd look kind of foolish with that tattoo, knowing that they didn't even make the playoffs. But I've seen this trend where people go out and they get their favorite sports team before the season even starts, and they get, Super Bowl champs or whatever. And then they don't win the Super Bowl, and then they become famous on the internet for doing a foolish thing. They're boasting about tomorrow. They're boasting about what they think is going to happen. Back when I was in high school, I had a friend, don't talk to him much anymore, but his mom was a psychic, right? And I didn't think much of it when he told me this. The first time I met her, I honestly kind of forgot he had told me this. She was quite popular. She had a whole segment on Hot 96 or 96 STO, depending on what area you're from. And every week she'd come on and do her little psychic readings and stuff, and didn't even register with me. I went over and met her the first time, and I sat down and just talking to her. And all of a sudden she starts asking these questions. I honestly can't even remember what they were, but she grabbed my palm and started doing the reading. And I was like, okay, this is weird. She started telling me what was going to happen. Here's what I don't remember, because she didn't get any of it right. It was very generalized. And I walked away real quick knowing that it was a very generalized sort of thing. So she would do these conventions and psychic fairs and stuff like that. They had one in Evansville. So my buddy and I, he needed to go talk to her real quick. So we went into this convention, went to go talk to her. And he goes, oh, check this guy out. He'll draw your guardian angel. And I was like, okay. And since I was a friend and all that, he just let me do it and I didn't have to pay for it. So he's drawing up his guardian angel. He too starts doing a psychic reading on me. And he hands me this guardian angel and he's like, who does that look like? I don't know. He's like, does that look like your mom or your grandma or something like that? I guess it could. So I got home. I took it home and showed my mom. And again, I don't remember much of what he told me was going to happen, because again, it didn't happen. But he did tell me I was going to have a lot of kids. I got that right. I do remember that. Anyways, so I take this drawing back to my mom, and she goes, that looks just like your great-grandmother. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. What I'm starting to realize is I favor my mom's side of the family. He drew me, made it a woman, and that was the essence of what was going on here, right? Boasting about tomorrow. Phrase, see you next Sunday. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We say that. We give credence to God. Basically it is my intention to be here next Sunday, but God may have other plans. And that's really what today's message is about. It is not boasting about tomorrow. Now the letter from James here actually kind of focuses and takes business owners who are making money to task. But we all have a tendency to do this a little bit, I think. maybe. I don't know. Let's read it. Verse 13. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city. Spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why you do not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. So, next week this is going to kind of blossom into oppression from the rich. But for this week, and we see this, the stock market is very dependent upon forecasts. If somebody in the stock market has a big forecast of profits and it falls, what happens? Well, that stock falls. And a lot of back and forth in that. I don't think it's wrong to have, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 1-week plan. But we have to be, as Christians, ready to audible, right? Give you an example. This week, Betty had all the music picked out. And it was the plan that, we were going to do a Veterans Day celebration and all that. Well, we had to punt. We were able to figure something out and make it work. But what were great plans last Sunday quickly got kind of changed and altered. And we have to be willing to do that. And I think if we're trying to live in God's will, we can change and alter our plans, and we're okay with it. We don't get too bent out of shape. Now, 5 years from now, you see yourself as, I'm going to be retired, or I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that. And you get closer and you're like, oh, that's not going to happen. How do you handle that? Do you handle it well? Do you get aggravated about it? Do you realize it's all part of God's plan? I don't know if you guys know this much about me, but I'm not much of a planner. Maybe today that sounds like a great thing at the moment. But I do try to look into the future, try to figure out, what's coming, what's going to happen, what maybe we need to do, whether it's dealing with the kids or our jobs or whatever. But I always have that understanding and knowledge that ultimately it is God's plan. I can have all the best laid out plans in the world, but if they are not parallel to what God has in store for me, things are going to change. And then I need to be prepared. Back in 2008, I hadn't been at Spencer Industries very long. And with that, with layoffs coming and a lot of things, stock market economy was starting to crash a little bit. I was making plans. What am I going to do should I get laid off? Fortunately, I didn't. I had several who took voluntarily. They took voluntary layoffs and stuff, and due to my position, which God got me in real quick, I was one of the group that really didn't want to have to lay me off if they didn't have to. But I didn't know that. I could have been boastful and been like, well, my job's very important. They're not going to get rid of me. And good chance God might have been like, watch this. But that's not what happened. We make plans as a church where we'd like to be in so long, or, when we were dealing with the fire. I can't remember how that all played out, but I do remember we were hoping to be in and done before we were actually in and done. It didn't work out, but we made it work. I didn't hear anybody yelling or screaming and throwing stuff at anybody or anything like that. Again, are you adaptable? That's one of the major things I'm learning with God is we have to be adaptable. So how adaptable are you? If tomorrow you wake up and whatever your plans are, they get changed, are you going to handle that okay? I'm not always the best. As a matter of fact, sometimes I get so bent out of shape that, it's almost embarrassing. But we also have to understand all such boasting is evil. It tells us that. Castle bands, they do a big half pot. Of all the bands, marching bands in this area, Castle needs the most money. They have a big band, and they do a lot of fundraisers for that. One of them was a half pot, and I bought a half pot ticket. Now, several years ago, I'd have been spending that half pot ticket. Man, because I think this year it wound up being $45,000 somebody won. That's a good chunk of change. Years past, I would have had that money spent. I'm going to win this half pot, and this is what I'm going to do with it. This year, I looked at it as more of a donation to the Castle Bands, which is most likely what it's going to be. I didn't boast. I didn't get arrogant. I just simply said, Lord, if it's your will, and if I somehow manage to win this, if you have them draw my name out or whatever, guide me in what to do with that. It's your money, not mine. I try to handle that in all things. We're spending money. God, it's your money, not mine. God, this is your time, not mine. God, this is your house, not mine. What I'm finding is if we boast about tomorrow, we make a big deal about tomorrow, we think we have the best laid plans, God intervenes and gets us back on the track He needs us on. We have to audible, change plans. And through going through that process, it seems so difficult. We get aggravated. But I bet if you really think about it, if you're driving home or going to lunch or doing whatever you're doing this afternoon, you're sitting there thinking about it, you can think of a time when your plans did not go as you thought they were going to go. And in the moment, you were aggravated. But when everything was said and done, you were like, well, that worked out well. Our life is but a mist. When you look at our life based upon eternity, infinity, it's nothing more than a blip. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. Now, next week, like I said, we're going to get into, this morphs into dealing with the rich oppressors. They were primarily the ones that they're going after right here a little bit. But we all have a tendency to boast. Whether it's your sports team, maybe what you think your kids may or may not do. I can go through and tell you, each one of my kids, Taylor is going to play baseball. Well, he no longer plays baseball. He's pretty decent at soccer. Kaylee is going to be an Olympic gymnast. Well, she doesn't do gymnastics anymore, but she's really good at diving. I still think Allie's going to have extreme organizational skills. She's had that since she's little. When I go in and she's watching YouTube videos of cleaning and organizing, she's pretty well still on that path. So. But then again, when we thought we were done having kids, I never thought that we'd wind up with 2 more. God led us through that process and led us through that situation. And I can't tell you how many times we thought things were working out one way, and then due to our legal system, I get topsy-turvy and all that. I'm glad all that's done. And God has blessed us with 2 kids and we are learning. When they came to us, we didn't know much about their toddler years all the way up to their 5 or 6. JD's gonna, right now it looks like he's gonna be working with his hands. He's got an interest in combines. He wants to watch how combines work and stuff. And Annabelle, she's very artistic. She's been making word searches at home, which is crazy to me, but she's doing it. And it's really neat. I sit back as a parent and I think about how God must look at us as His children as we continue to go through life, no matter what your age. And the pride and the joy that He has in those aha moments when it clicks, something clicks for us, and we're drawn nearer to Him. Maybe we shouldn't boast about tomorrow, but we should boast about what God's doing today. Because we know that tomorrow, God holds something great for us. Tomorrow, some of you guys may be thinking about that sentence and your car broke down or something like that. You're going to be like, well, God didn't really give me a great day today. Or did He? That's an opportunity for us to do the good that we know we're supposed to do. To give God the glory, to give God the praise. To find the good. My car broke down on my way to work. I had to take a day off. But I didn't get in an accident. We're getting it taken care of. So-and-so stopped by to help. Seeing the good in humanity. These are all good things. And these are all things that I boast about when I'm talking about God. God sent so-and-so to help me today. And it was just in the right moment. So as you pray about and you think about what your life is, what you want it to be, also pray to understand when God gets you off. You're trying to take an exit ramp, and God's like, no, you need to stay on the interstate right now. Pray and prepare yourself for that. Because I know in my own life, I get disappointed. I'm like, oh, but I want to go to the exit ramp. And God's like, not right now. And later on, I see a Pilot gas station ahead and I want to stop there. And God's like, no, we got to go this way. And I'm like, oh man, I'm disappointed somewhat. But it always works out. Because we know that all things work to good for those who love Him. So if you catch yourself boasting, flip that over. Flip that up. Boast about God. If you say, and I used to hate the phrase, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. But one day it hit me and I get it. Because it's really up to Him. I'll see you next Sunday. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Here in Richland, the creek rising is a problem sometimes. But again, that's a God thing. So now I get it. I don't hate the phrase as much. Don't say it. But I might say, God willing, I'll see you next week. Or I'll see you tomorrow. Because it's ultimately up to Him. Let's pray. Father, I pray that you guide us in our boasting. When do we boast? How do we boast? Help us to prepare for those audibles in life, those changes, where we're trying to go on our path, but you have a path laid out for us, and you're trying to get us on that. Help us to remember who's in charge, who's in control, and how much better off we are when we give that to you. Father, I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.